going on, everybody? So, yeah, I was reading the chat before I came on live, and I'm looking for the comment from Mitch. 1 second. There it is. Yeah, the chat was on fire before I even got here, but really it's just two guys going back and forth. But we'll address it. We'll address it now. We'll talk a little bit about the A&M game. Obviously, it's titled Miami Texas A&M Recap. I've got a good guest to go over it with, but I want to touch on all the stuff that the fans are saying, that this is one of them, that Gaddis ain't it. And then, that something about TVD's not made for this offense. Yeah, we'll address all that stuff. But before I do that, before I bring in our guest, I just like to say, I don't care if this isn't popular. I'm honestly proud of our team. I am proud of our team because how many times in the past have we gone into a game like this and it just completely unravels and it's over in the second quarter and we end up losing like 38-10 or something. This was not an Alabama, not a Georgia, but a solid SEC team in their house, third biggest crowd they've ever had, but they say Miami's irrelevant. We draw the third biggest crowd they've ever had. And we go out there and we were the more physical team. We played very solid defense. We'll touch on that. We'll touch on all the positives. Offensive line looked the best I've seen since probably 2014 when Duke was here. And yeah, the passing game was not good, to say the least. The running game was great. We had more yards. We had 100 more yards than they did. We had 3 sacks. They had 0. We had 27 first downs. They had like 14 or something like that. But we'll go over all that stuff. But for now, before the chat gets way too ahead of me, let me bring on my guest. My man, David Franklin. What's going on, sir?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Oh, doing good. Doing better since Saturday. But
yeah.
I'll be honest, man. I'll let you have the floor in a second and give me your thoughts on the game before we just kind of put it behind us and move on. But losses suck. They always do. You never want to lose a game, but it's kind of funny how most fans, if you ask them 3 months ago, 2 months ago, hey, we're going to be, we'll lose to A&M on the road, but we'll be competitive. Most fans would have taken that. Most fans would have taken that. You lose one game. This is the third game of a very long-term rebuild that we're in the middle of. Game 3, and people are losing their minds. I just thought that was a bit odd, but then again, I am not shocked. But, David, you have the floor, sir. Tell me your thoughts now that we're a few days removed from the game.
I mean, you summed up a lot. I mean, a lot of what I'm going to say is reiterate what you just said. It's week 3. It's week 3. And not only would a lot of fans have bought that or been happy with that, what you just said about going in, to Texas A&M and competing, but they said that. Like, they're not just buying it. A lot of fans said, hey, raise your hand or thumbs up or something if you thought we were going undefeated this year. All right, first of all. Second of all, a lot of fans I heard before the season, hey, these are the games we'll win. I think we go to A&M. As long as we're competitive and don't get blown out of the building, we're okay. And that's what we did. And then on Sunday, it's just a total meltdown. So I want to know, like right now, because I want to know what to look forward to, because a lot of people said the same thing about the Clemson game at the end of the year is we can be competitive. Like, is this the same thing going to happen? So, are we going to melt down again? It's game 3. Breathe and calm down. It's okay. It wasn't perfect, but, I think it's always a good idea. I like to record the game and go back and watch it again, not just to break things down, but to watch it again out of all the, intensity and you're on your feelings and all that. It's kind of chill and watch it again. And a lot of things happen, man. A lot of good things, a lot of things we need to work on. You hear a lot of things today about, Coach Gaddis and the play calling. The the first drive went really well. I thought play calling was fine, and we get down to the 10, 15-yard line, we get a penalty, we get backed up, and we don't score in the red zone. The problem is we got in the red zone, 4 times without a touchdown. That's an issue. I thought some of the red zone play calling was a little bit iffy, but I thought overall it was okay. I thought TVD missed on some throws. I also thought TVD hit on some throws and the balls got dropped. A couple plays right off this first drive, I'm telling you, he threw one, and last year we probably would have completed that pass. It got broken up. A&M made some plays. So it just, there was a lot of things, man. It's hard for me to pin this on one guy. I'm not going to pin it on TVD. I'm not going to pin it on Gaddis. I'm not going to pin it on Redding or any of the receiver, any of that. Everybody had issues Saturday. However, I was really impressed with the offensive line in the trenches overall. On both sides of the ball. I thought they did great. I thought DJ Ivey played the best game I've seen him play as a Cane. I thought Corey Flagg played well. And those are guys that we've been waiting to see, and you could see, some differences in coaching and stuff like that. I had somebody tell me that those guys didn't actually play better, but it's the schemes and the angles and all this that the coaches are running. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we should have done that before. Who cares why? The fact is they played better. It's like at this point, it's Tuesday, all right? Sunday, man, I was a wreck. I was depressed. It's Tuesday. If you're still looking for reasons now, in my opinion, you're just out here trying to headhunt guys and dwell on things. And look, the whole point is to win the game. I get it. I do. Nobody on this planet wanted that game more than this dude right here. I did. But we were competitive. We looked better and you've got to understand now that matters. All right. Because we're building on things, let's be real about this. Who all thought that the wide receiver position coming into this season was just going to be, just fantastic? Because if you did, you haven't been paying attention. They've been dropping hints. They've been looking for guys. They've been making comments. They've been concerned about that. They thought they had a couple guys. They were concerned with depth. Their Streppo goes out. He gets hurt. Things have happened. So, it's not like, oh, my God, this world-class wide receiver group that we thought we were going to have isn't showing up. We were told in the offseason we might have some issues there. So, I think we got MTSU coming in, a chance to fix some things, maybe find some guys. And then we got a bye week, so we've got a chance to really rest up and get some things going before we get into conference play. So, we want to win. Yeah, I get it. But I came away Sunday, man, after I sat down and calmed down from just the loss, man. I was encouraged by what I saw.
Absolutely. And we'll go over the positives first. And Mitchell, yeah, I manage you guys. I might not agree with what you guys are saying, but hey, it gives us material for the show to talk about. So please go nuts in the chat. Let's talk about, first of all, the defense real quick. We'll just as a whole unit. Mm-hmm. Corey Flagg and DJ Ivey, we'll start with them. Now I'm starting to see, especially since 2 weeks ago with Corey Flagg, really, like I'm starting to see what the coaches are talking about because we've been hearing since the last regime how good these guys are in practice and all that, but we don't see it in the game. Yep. And then Mario's crew, he comes and says, these guys are performing. Like, these guys are all world. Like, you're going to see that putting the work in. Finally, we're starting to see it. And the defensive line, I was impressed with. There were times where they were getting after the quarterback just with their front four. Like, this was a solid performance by the defense. I mean, aside from the obvious Flagg and Ivey just looking like different human beings. Like, anybody else stand out to you?
Yeah, I was glad to see Leonard Taylor really starting to just develop even more. That's a guy, I think, obviously recruiting reasons and all that, primetime dude, big time player. And I thought he had a fantastic game Saturday night. And again, this was against, like you said, I'm not, this wasn't against a top 1 or 2 team, but this was against the mighty ACC in front of 100,000 people, where in the past we have just not shown up. And we've heard how good we looked in practice. And then we see the game, we're like, okay, well, where's it at? Well, we saw it Saturday night. I thought guys played. We showed up, man. The moment was not too big for us. And that gives you some encouragement, at least it does me, looking at our schedule going forward now, because, and I think it's fair to say, if we lined up and played like we did Saturday night against them, we should see a lot of success going forward. And with the defense, again, I know I've already taught you, and you just did Ivy and Flagg. Man, I was really happy for those guys to see them, start to come along. And I heard Kevin Steele he credited Coach Adai with the work he's doing with those DBs. And you could see it. The film don't lie, the game don't lie. You can go and you can watch that happen. So, I thought it was a really solid game from the defense, and I thought Kevin Steele called a nice game.
100%. And and you mentioned the offensive line earlier. I mean, if you told me, hey, offensive line, running game, offensive line and defense, let's just focus on those two things. If you give me the better offensive line and the better defense in any game, aren't you going to win most games?
Yeah.
Just those two things alone.
Yeah. And we won that battle Saturday night, in my opinion. I thought we won the trenches.
Absolutely. We won. Yeah. I mean, we had over 100 more yards than they did. I believe we finished with like 397 and they had like 267 or something like that.
When was the last time we said that? Not just in a big game, in any game where we won the trenches. We went on the road, Texas A&M, and we won that battle. We did. We won that battle.
Even last year, the Pitt game, the NC State game, some of the bigger games that we won middle of the season when we were on that little winning streak, it wasn't because we were running the ball down their throats. It's because we hit some big plays. Yeah. And, defense got some key takeaways and key moments, but it wasn't like a pure physical domination. Like another thing, when was the last time you could say we were the more physical team on the road against an SEC team, much less?
So welcome to the wonderful world of a Miami fan, where now we're physical and we're getting that protection, and now we're missing the big plays. Where in the past we've relied on that to kind of keep us in games and make it look a whole lot more competitive than it really was. But now we've got that physicality and all that. But if you look back, and again, I'm going to go back to the offseason, this is what Mario Cristobal said he wanted to do. He wanted to establish the toughness, the intensity, showing up in the trenches and battle and fight and push these guys around and win that. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And Mitch, and we'll talk about like incoming recruits and stuff like that in future classes. But Mitch brings up a good point that I thought about earlier today that I want to bring up on the show.
Yeah,
we won the battle in the trenches with guys that we've had from before. Imagine when Mario starts getting his guys in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get stupid. Like, we're going to really ram it down people's throats. I mean, that we just got a taste, I think, of what's coming. Now, I think people's concern is, and I'll be lying if I say it's not at least a little bit in the back of my mind, that what if in the future, with 2, 3, 4 years from now, we're in a big game, ACC championship, and there's moments where we're a little too conservative. And maybe we run the ball and it's a 3 and out, or we have to settle for a field goal. Do you think that trend continues, or do you think it was just a one-game thing where, you know what, receivers didn't get enough separation, Gaddis didn't make the right calls at the right time, it was just, take it and move on? Or do you think that could be a trend moving forward?
I don't think it'll be a trend, and I'll go and do this. I think it's fair to say if it is a trend, then we've got a right to complain. All right, if that's happening in 3 years as opposed to 3 games, then okay, we've got an argument, right? We've got a reason to say something. But I think it strikes me a little bit odd that a lot of folks are complaining that we're still hearing folks talk about the play calling and the playbook, especially in the passing game. Yet we talk about receivers can't catch the ball and run routes. So how crazy are you going to get with the plays when you guys can't even do? You see what I'm saying here? I mean, we basic little poop and we're dropping it. So you know what I'm saying? You got to get those basics down first before you move on. I know that's not the sexy answer everybody wants, but I'm just saying we're complaining about this over here and we haven't even fixed this here. We got to fix that before we move on and do anything else. So, again, I'm not saying the play call was 100%, but I thought a lot of it was in the red zone. But then at time, it just goes back, man. I'm just repeating myself. But at time we had good play calls and we dropped the ball, or we misfired and overthrew or underthrew, or, whatever the case may be. So it's just a matter, man. We got to get this whole thing just to kind of click and come together is kind of where we're at. I think you got to put all the pieces together, and I think it'll happen. I don't think it'll be a trend for 3 years down the road. I don't think Gaddis will be here in 3 years, but I don't think it'll continue that way. No.
Yeah. And for the people that are saying that he called a terrible game, because there are some people saying that. I agree. Some of the calls in the red zone were questionable. I would have at least tried a little fade to the corner of the end zone, taken a shot somewhere.
Mhm.
That's definitely valid. But for the most part, I thought he caught a solid game. Like you got close to 400 yards. You schemed guys open. There were moments where guys were schemed wide open, and either the throw was a little off, guy just hit him in the chest, he didn't catch it. It was, sometimes I know fans love to jump on the coaches first and foremost, but sometimes it's on the players. Sometimes it's on execution.
I'll tell you what, and I'm not a wealthy man, so I'm not going to bet you a lot of money. However, I will bet you $1 that had we done that, some fans would be saying, "Why do we go for it and risk it? We should have just took the points." So
Yes.
you're not going to please everybody. It's just not going to happen. So but to be fair, I did think a couple times I would have liked to get a little more aggressive because, hey man, we want to win this game. Let's get aggressive and win this thing. You know what I'm saying? We're not playing to lose or to tie. We want to win, so let's get aggressive and do it. But for whatever reason, we decided to go for the points, and what happened. So, and I think there also comes a times when it goes both ways. You got to trust your coaches, and the coaches got to trust the players. You know what I'm saying? And if you continuously drop passes and misfire and done this all night long, then what gives you the confidence it's going to work now? We got points at stake here. Sometimes you just got to take those three. But again, I think in the past, man, that game gets away from us, and it didn't get away from us. I got worried, when they scored and we still only had 3 points on the board. I'm like, oh, here we go. It's about to get it. And it didn't. The defense, instead of in the past where the defense has gotten down because the offense is not performing or vice versa, the defense just kept their nose down and they played their game and they kept us in this thing. And again, I was encouraged by what I saw. So,
Yeah. This was something I thought of. I don't know if you know any of what's going on here, or we don't really speak to injuries or anything. But like, I was wondering why Thad wasn't in the game more either. I don't know if maybe you never know. Guys are nicked up. Maybe Parrish was just in a rhythm and they wanted to keep him out there. I don't know. I would have loved to have seen more of Thad. I don't know if you agree. Maybe him being one of the younger guys. Maybe they thought he wasn't ready for that moment. I don't know. It could have been a million things, but in the future, I'd love to see Thad more in a situation like that.
yeah, I wanted to see more just because his last name's Franklin, and I wanted to hear my last name called more. But I think, yeah, I did. Man, I've been a fan of that dude since he got here, and I want to see him in there more. I don't know why. I don't know if he was nicked up or it was something to do on. I don't know. Only thing I know is if he wasn't in there, there had to be a really good reason. And obviously Parrish, man, like you said, he was in a rhythm, man, and that dude has been just a really, really nice breath of fresh air since he got here. So, I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but yeah, I would like to see more of that for sure.
Yeah. And then, we'll put the game to rest after this last thing. Yeah, this play right here, the Stevenson muff punt, that was the biggest play in the game.
Yeah.
And, again, proud of them for not letting it define the rest of the game and letting the game unravel. Because in the moment, I was scared. I was like, oh, man, don't tell me. Here we go. Don't tell me this is going to happen again. We hung tough, but, man, you change that one play, we probably win.
Yeah, I agree. And if you just, like, you don't even have to, return it for a touchdown. Just catch.
Fair catch.
Just fair catch, or hell, get away from it. I don't even know, but not that. You don't know what happened, and that's kind of been a thing for me lately, man. I noticed that almost, a lot of games. I watch a lot of ball on Saturdays, and you see that almost in every game at some point. I don't know what the deal with that is anymore, but you see that a lot. But when that happened, man, I was like, come up and catch the ball or get away, whatever. But I thought that definitely changed, obviously, the momentum. There's no doubt about that. I think it had a lot to do with Stevenson's mindset after that. He just didn't look the same to me. Maybe that's just my observation. I don't know. But it was definitely a humongous play as far as momentum because we were matching them, man. You know what I'm saying? They were swinging and we're swinging, and we're standing toe to toe. And then that was like the defining moment. That was the one thing that kind of separated us, I thought.
Yeah, for sure. We answer back, tie the game at 3, get a quick 3 and out, getting the ball back. I'm like, oh, we got all the momentum. Offense was in a rhythm in that first possession.
Yeah.
Well, we'll never know. But anyway, let's move on. from that. You're the recruiting expert. So talk to me. How do the high school players, the commits, I don't know if you had a chance to even talk to any of them directly, the commits, the potential commits, how are they feeling right now about Miami? What do you think the overall feel is right now?
It was, from where I stand, the folks that I've talked to since the game, it was a nice surprise, to be honest with you, because you never know what's in the mind of the recruits, and especially when they're the ones that were literally there at the game. But a lot of them, again, like we said, we didn't want to go in there and just get ran out of the building, right? And we didn't. We looked okay. We held our own. And I think a lot of the recruits, especially on the offensive side of the ball, I was happy to hear that a lot of them saw opportunities. They didn't just see, the bad things that happened or the things that didn't go well. They saw opportunities and saw opportunities for themselves to come in here and kind of see what we need. And so, that came from some players, and then even some folks, not just the players, but people associated with them in their camps kind of said a lot of the same things. So if there was any negativity or anything like that coming out of it, I personally have not heard it. I don't think this game hurt us because of the way we went in there and handled our business. And again, if we had gone in there and it had been 34-0 or something like that, I think it would have taken us the other direction. But based on what I've heard and everybody I've talked to, I've heard nothing negative out of that.
That is awesome to hear, and that's kind of what I was expecting. If the game was competitive, I didn't see anything changing.
Yeah.
Or So yeah, that's great to hear then. Yeah. So we got Middle Tennessee State coming up. Middle Tennessee or Middle Tennessee State? I'm not even sure. I think it's Middle Tennessee State.
Middle Tennessee State, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, this is a chance, kind of like those first two games of the season. It's a chance to get back in front of our home crowd. Hopefully we have a decent showing at least. It's a 3:30 game. Noon kickoffs are just a killer for the crowd. You saw it in week 2. I mean, it was like 12 people in the stands.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. The heat index was 116 degrees or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So, we got this game coming up, a chance to fine-tune some things, a chance for our passing game to get into some kind of a rhythm. Do you see maybe to create some kind of a spark, any new faces potentially out there at wide receiver on Saturday?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to. The only problem is it's starting to get really thin. I think we're down to 7 scholarship wide receivers now, which is never a good thing. But I think this is a good opportunity if you're going to do it. If you're going to switch things up, obviously this is when you do it, is Saturday. There's been mention of Jaleel Skinner getting more involved. Somebody told me, well, no, we need to play Arroyo. Okay, then play them both. You know what I'm saying? Get a couple of tight ends out there at the same time. But you're hearing like Jaleel may get some looks at kind of in a wide receiver type role. So Romello Brinson, I'm waiting. I want to see him. I've been waiting on him. Fan of his. I'd love to see it. So I think there's options there, and I think you'll definitely see some new faces out there just to see if it sparks and if it kind of clicks, or if it's just going to be the same old thing. If that's the case, and I don't know, but keep in mind this is Middle Tennessee State, so we should look really good. A lot of guys should have an opportunity to look good. They should, but I think you'll see some new faces and get some guys some time out there and see, what can happen. I don't know if you maybe change something up in the kicking game and the punt return or something, and can somebody, make a spark on special teams. But I think this is definitely time that you go do it if you're going to do it, because you've got conference play coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think we have ways to – the good news is I think we have ways to mask that lack of depth at wide receiver right now. You've got guys you can kind of plug in. You can plug in a Malik Curtis on certain plays. You can plug in, I don't know, you're counting Burchard as one of those 7, right? Because Burchard is technically listed as a wide receiver. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, you got Malik Curtis. You can plug in a Chris Graves even if you want. You can plug in Jaleel Skinner, move him to the outside. Isaiah Horton, you haven't played him yet. You can play, there's guys you can kind of put in the mix to kind of spark things. But I agree. And I agree also on the, on this point about the special teams. So with that, I will answer Les's question, how their kicking gets so bad so quick. Yeah, no, I don't think it's gotten bad. Andy missed a close to a 50-yard kick on the road in a tough environment, and then he got one blocked. But then he bounced back and kicked two more later in the game. So it was good to see that. I don't know. Like, what have you thought about Andy so far? You think I feel like he's taken a step forward so far this year. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he wasn't perfect Saturday. I get that, but I'm not to the point where I'm going, hey, what's wrong with Andy? I think, I think he's okay. I think he's fine. I don't want to depend on him every week. I can promise you that, but it's nothing to do with him. It's just I want to score touchdowns when we should score touchdowns.
Yeah,
I want to score in the red zone. You know what I'm saying? We get to 3 when we need them, but we want to score points here. So, but I think that right there, the Jaleel Skinner and Curtis, Jaleel Skinner especially for me, I would love to see him, get some burn Saturday at MTSU and see what he can do out there on the field. If that's at a wide receiver spot, that's fine. But I would love to see a little shake up there. I think it's time. I think you have to.
yeah. I mean, you're looking for a big red zone threat, a big red zone target. There's your guy, Jaleel Skinner.
Yeah.
6'5", and isn't Isaiah Horton like 6'3" or something like that?
Yeah, he's at Isaiah is actually around 6'4", a little bit taller than that. So yeah.
I want to see some of that, man.
Yeah. Give me some of that, man. Some of them big guys out there, and throw in some, Brashard and Rooster and all that out of the backfield, and let's just I would love to see a nice mix of all that Saturday.
Yeah, man. So it's good to have an opponent like Middle Tennessee State at home after this, because another thing that has happened in years past, you lose a heartbreaker like this, or it used to be the FSU game, like those Jimbo years. Anytime we lost FSU, it turned into like a 3 or 4 game losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Obviously, that's not going to happen this time. But right after that, you got a big one against North Carolina.
Yeah.
That we got to be ready for. But you got, a tune-up game, bye week, and then UNC. But sorry, I cut you off. You were going to say something?
No, I was just going to agree with you because, it sounds really nice, a tune-up game and a bye week, and I'm excited about that. If, maybe some guys can get healthy if they're dinged up or something like that. However, it's a tune-up game and a bye week, and then you got to be up to play Carolina. And this is another thing that we've not always seen in the past. This is another test for the staff, and we want to see that. After we don't want to go to sleep over these next 2 weeks. We want to come out against Carolina, and I don't want to have to wake up. I want to go. I want to see us use this for what we're supposed to use this for, to get better and to get healthy and work out some kinks. I don't want to come out and use the excuse, well, we've been kind of down for 2 weeks. I think that's a test for the staff as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's been a big problem for this program for a while coming out of bye weeks, like even before Manny Diaz, I think. But what? Yeah. I think I read a stat. I think it was in one of our Discord chats that Mario is like either 5-1 or 6-0 or so. He might even, I think he's undefeated when he was at Oregon coming off of bye weeks. I have to verify if that stat is true. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case. That would be massive because, man, I need a win against North Carolina. I cannot lose to those guys again.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's another one folks have had circled. Obviously, the A&M game, obviously we talk about Clemson on down the road, but there's no way that you don't want to take this Carolina game and just really, really come out firing and looking really good there.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. That one, obviously, FSU's circled every year. Let's touch on that for a second. FSU's looking a little better than we thought going into the season.
They are. They are. And they would have to look better than what we were giving them credit for, because let's be honest, man, we were just banging them dudes into the ground, saying, and we'll continue to do that because they're FSU. But yeah, they've come out and they've done a little something. You know what I'm saying? They're looking a little bit better than what we thought. And I don't care if they ever win another game, but if that's going to help us when we play them, if they can look a little bit better than what we thought, that's fine. I want to beat their brains in. I want to put 60 up on them. I don't care if, what they're ranked, what their record is, but let's just be real. We need all the help we can get. So if they can continue to pull these games out or however, yeah, you're right. If she hasn't played anyone, but if they can continue that trend just a little bit, it's just going to help us when we take care of business there too.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine if it's like 2 top 15, 2 top 20
Oh
teams
man,
going head to head?
yeah, sign me up.
So, I mean, game day might be there. Are you kidding?
Woo. Yeah,
That'd
yeah,
be ridiculous.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. This looks like a good count. Jay, I don't really think Dan Ito's 2.0's offense is really going to cut it, honestly. Man, I wouldn't go that far saying this is Dan Ito's 2.0. Again, I think this is one of those knee-jerk reactions. Honestly, not to beat this into the ground, but I think the couple years that Gaddis is probably going to stick around because he's going to get a head coaching job after this. The dude won the Broyles Award for a reason. It may not be the sexiest offense, but if we beat people pounding it down their throats, like if we beat them with a physical style of play, it's not the funnest thing in the world, but we're getting wins. Do you really care?
If we score a touchdown on that first drive when we were moving the ball, all right, instead of getting the penalty on the line, and that backed us up a little bit, and then we couldn't convert from there. But if we score on that first possession, I don't know that we're even having this conversation. If again, I said this at the beginning of the show, if we're still having issues in 2 or 3 years, and I think we got a legitimate complaint. If we still got issues at the end of the year or into next year, I think we got a complaint. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just not ready to jump off the ledge in week 3. I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, same. All right, so got 73 in the chat right now. Thank you guys for hopping on and listening to us, air our grievances from Saturday, but also talk about a lot of positives. I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited, honestly, man. Not just for this year, but I'm thinking more a few years, like next year, year after that is what I'm thinking of more. I don't want another 7-5 season, obviously. I want to beat FSU. I want to win the Coastal. All that stuff's still in play. And it's still well within reach. I mean, we haven't lost an ACC game. So, I think that's all within reach. But, guys, my message is this is going to take some time. I don't think people – you probably know more than I do. I mean, you got more insight than I do, man. Like, do you think people realize how bad things were behind the scenes, like culture-wise and all that?
I thought they did. I don't think that anymore. It was bad shape, and I mean, we should have kind of figured this out by now. It's been, it's been a long time since December when Mario was hired. It's been even longer since we started making moves and things like that. So, everything we've complained about, and to be fair, not just for the last 3 years, but everything we've been complaining about for the last several years as Canes fans, right? This is not something an overnight fix. And again, I don't know a lot of fans that we talked about this before the season, and we all did this. Say, what do you think our record's going to be? I don't know a whole lot of people that said we're going to go undefeated and win the national championship this year. And I just don't understand why all of a sudden in week 3 we're like, oh my goodness, and like just headhunt on one guy. There's a lot of issues, but I will promise you this: if we know these issues are there, so does the staff. So does Mario Cristobal. I promise you that. He's not sitting back going, man, I think we look perfect Saturday. I think everything's fine. We don't need to change a thing. I promise you he knows that. So you're going to have to let this man work. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, if you're ready to end it all right now in week 3, just go ahead and hang it up. You don't need to watch another game. You don't need to go to next year, because I'm telling you, this is going to be a process. It's like this all the time. It's going to take a minute. So just, kind of be patient. We all win now, but you're going to have to focus on the good things, man.
Yeah. Well, there you have it, man. You're asking the impossible of Miami fans. Have patience. But,
Yeah.
but it's true, man. You got to have patience.
Yeah.
But anyway, David, appreciate you coming on with me to talk a little Canes. Always a good time. Please let the people know where they can see you, your show with Rasta and everything. Just you have the floor. Let them know where they can find your content and everything.
Yeah, man. Always a good time coming on anytime. Always happy to hop in. Always happy to talk Canes anytime with anybody. Twitter handle right there. Sebastian Lane show on Thursday nights at 9:15. We usually go in there and talk a little bit recruiting, and obviously into the season now. So we'll always talk the current season. So If you join us already, we appreciate it. If you haven't, then we would like to see you Thursday night.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you, David. Always appreciated.
All right, man. Thanks. Go Canes.
Yeah, man. Go Canes. Catch you next time.
All right.
All right. That was Mr. David Franklin, recruiting expert. Go catch him with Ross on his show. And he gave it all to you, his Twitter handle, where you can find his content and everything. Go follow him. Go follow the Miami Flow channel. Obviously, I mean, probably 99% of this chat already follows them, but if you haven't, please go follow them. They do something that's very unique. Any donation, any money that's collected as a result of the channel gets turned into NIL deals for the players. I think that's awesome. So please continue showing your support for them. Please go to right below me, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps me grow the channel. Please help me get to that 2,000 mark. It would be awesome to hit that, here in the next few weeks. It was my goal to hit it before the season. Didn't quite get there, but almost there. With your guys' help, I can get there. Go follow me I have a TikTok now, believe it or not, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Les, we got 2 weeks to turn things around before the NC game. Absolutely, man. I feel good. Oh, dropping the microphone. I feel good, man. I feel confident as of now for that game. I'll say this, and I said it before, and I've been playing this in my head over and over. I'm like, ooh, that's a good quote. I got to say it on the show. If you have the better defense and the better offensive line, dude, sign me up. We're winning most football games. Things just didn't quite click in the passing game. Had a muff punt, a blocked field goal, some issues on special teams, and it just didn't go our way. It happens, guys. It is game 3 of this long journey. And you know what? If Gaddis isn't the guy, fine. Mario probably will have no problem moving on to someone else next year. I guarantee you. Mario wants to win, and these coaches want to win, and the players want to win more than me or any of you guys. Trust me. So this is a work in progress, guys. Be patient, but enjoy the ride. There's going to be some highs this year. We're going to win some big games this year. We're going to have some big moments. We're going to have some fun wins. There's going to be some times where we trip up. I know this is a lot to ask, but I don't want to hear it's like, oh yeah, up in Blacksburg, I could see that being an upset. Then we go up there and get upset and the world's coming to an end. I don't want to hear that. My prediction was 9-3. Yes, the 3 losses are going to hurt. It can't be the end of the world after all 3 losses. It's part of the process. But yeah, that NC game is turning into a much bigger one. We have to win that game. That's game number 1 in the ACC schedule. And that'll really set the tone for the rest of the season. If we can get a win against them at home, and if it could be an impressive win, like the one we had in 2018, that Thursday night game where we just had 3 touchdowns on defense. I don't know if you guys remember that one. I think we won 48-10. I think that ended up being Larry Fedora's job pretty much. If we can get that kind of win, I think it would launch us through the rest of the ACC, because again, you give me better defense, better running game, dude, that's a recipe for success in most games. And remember, this is just the beginning. Offensive line has been an issue for well over 15 years. I'm going to say since 2005 probably since Eric Winston was here, Joel Rodriguez, guys like that. We briefly had a good offensive line with Feliciano and Flowers and all those guys about 10 years ago. But for the most part, we've had guys here and there. But since about 2005, our O-line's been bad. And until your O-line is better, you're not going to win anything significant. Guess what? Check. Offensive line is, I don't want to say it's fixed. It's just one game. But is definitely being turned around 100%. What else? Defensive linebackers. Linebackers is a huge question mark. On and off, also for the last 15 years, since the days of John Beeson, Tavares Gooden, Leon Williams, hell, even Sean Spence and Colin McCarthy. It's been a solid 12, 13 years since we've had a consistently good linebacking core. We've had guys here and there. We had a Perriman, a Quarterman, but that's it. Linebackers, I don't want to say it's fixed, but they're looking a lot better. So check there. The only thing we got to fix position group wise right now at this moment looks like it's wide receiver. And yes, wide receivers also needs to block better. I'm going to hit a couple more comments and then I'm going to get out of here. Al, John, I really miss seeing you in Orlando on Saturday. I was in isolation for COVID. Damn, that sucks, man. Well, yeah, it was a great time. It was a fun time. We'll probably organize another one of those. So, and I will definitely be there for that. But it's a shame, Al. But hey, there'll be a next one. Unless, yes, I am going to the Middle Tennessee State game. Anyways, guys, thank you for coming on, listening to me rant and whatever about Canes football. Literally my favorite things. It's my favorite thing to do. But please subscribe to Cafecito and Canes. As always, go Canes. Have a good night.